Maseches Bava Metzia, Daf Ein Ches Amud Beis. We are in Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to everybody here in Avos Shalom. Welcome. Good morning. You can still come take your seat, and we are welcoming everybody in YouTube channel and on Torah anytime. With the first wide line, Oish Nasis and Galia. Of course, we'll recap what we saw yesterday. The topic of the Mishnah is what happens when people rent, hire. In this case, it's a donkey. It could also be a car or other things. And something happened in the middle. In other words, either the renter, the one using it, the renter is abusing and not using the donkey the way it's supposed to. That was discussed before. Now we're discussing the opposite story, and that's the end of the Mishnah. What happens when I almost said the car, when the donkey stops functioning for whichever reason, doesn't function fully or partially, and then the renter says, hey, customer's always right, and I really deserve to get another donkey instead right now. I want a replacement car or a replacement donkey right in the middle of the rental because your donkey stopped working. So now there are, generally speaking, we saw that there are two cases. There's if he's partially unstable. For example, if the animal is partially blind all of a sudden, but still functional, it can walk but slowly. That's called hivrika, right? Like barak. In other words, it has like flash in its eyes. Something in the eyes, in the vision got flashed, got all dazzled. Or we say that there are worms in its feet and it can't walk as well as it was before. In that case, the concept of mazel keeps appearing here in the Rishonim. Mazal chogorom, just as my mazel. In other words, the Baal Chamor, the owner of the donkey, can say, listen, mister, it could have happened to me, could have happened to you. It happens, it's not my fault, A. Secondly, we say that you really still have a donkey. Let's say that you hired a donkey, and this is a very, very important point which I want to make now. Let's say the donkey is hired for 30 days, but I'm not paying you per day. The payment is per project. In other words, I'm paying you for the donkey to go from now till Haifa. From here till Haifa, let's say takes 30 days by donkey. I don't know. Then what? 30 days, assuming I'll make it to Haifa. And Chanami, if I get to Haifa in 20 days, that would be different. In other words, the payment is not being paid per day. It's being paid per project. So it's going to take you longer to get to Haifa, and it's very annoying because the animal is slower. Imagine yourself, you hired a car, and you expect the car to drive 140 kilometers per hour, and all of a sudden drives only 80, and you're a young driver. So that's annoying. It takes more time, and the project that I'm working on with the car, the journey or whatever, takes longer. So that's really annoying, really not nice, but it's not my fault, says the owner, and therefore I don't have to pay you. That's a general idea. Now we're going to talk about the second case where there is generally no chiyuv of what? Of the Baal Habais to pay any extra. Ein Ches Amud Beis Vav Metzia, first wide line, or maybe wide line. And that is what? In case it's taken to the government, meaning sometimes government officials would want to ride someone else's donkey and they have the right, so to speak, to do so. That's going to be the discussion today. I'm not going to go there right now. Let's just summarize the general picture. What happens if the animal dies completely, or the animal is completely broken? In other words, broke its feet, completely blind, dysfunctional. Then really Baal Habais, generally speaking, has to pay and has to provide, not exactly to pay, the Baal Habais has to provide the other person, the renter, with a replacement animal. Okay, like a replacement car. Let's go now. Oy shenasis angaria, omer laharei shel cholefonecha. In other words, if the animal all of a sudden in the middle of the rental period became government property, then the owner can tell the renter, I'm so sorry, this could have happened to me just as much as to you just as much as to me. Government officials, they take animals. It's no one's fault, neither my fault either, and therefore I'm not going to give you any replacement or any compensation. I didn't tell the government to come and take it, and therefore if you paid me globally, let's say you paid me per month or per distance, I'm hiring your car. Sometimes car rentals also, they have something with the kilometers, so let's say I hired the donkey for, I don't know, 100 kilometers, then it's not my fault. However, the Gemara makes now a big exception to the rule. Omar Rav, this Rav literally a slip. I lost sleep over this. There are many ways to explain this business. I'm going to tell you what I Bezos Hashem figured out. Omarav, lo ishonu ela be'angaria choizeres. It's only true that the person, the balabais, does not have to provide him with a replacement donkey if the angaria choizeres. What does that mean? Let's say there is a term either per time, per distance. Yeah, let's say there's a 30 days, which are all looked at globally. Within those 30 days, I'm supposed to reach Haifa, okay? In the middle of those, let's say 30 days, 5 days the government took it, and they said very nicely, hey, don't worry, we're taking your donkey for 5 days, but we will return it. We will return it later. They say to the soicher. The soicher, the renter is riding on his donkey and his pony, yeah. And what? Now the government took it. They said, don't worry, in 5 days' time, we'll be back. We're so nice and democratic. Now, can he go back to the masker and say, hey, give me a donkey right this second, the replacement? I don't care that they'll give it back to me. It's postponing me. I'm riding with this donkey in order to run a whole building project. It's carrying stuff for me for the building. It's me'akev. It's postponing and delaying, not postponing. It's delaying. It's slowing down the whole process. So give me a donkey, a replacement one right now for these 5 days. I don't care that later I'll get it back. No, you cannot say that. And that is what the Mishnah meant when it said that the person will not get a replacement. Says Rashi something, I only hopped it yesterday. Rashi says we will both lose. Why are they both losing? The maskir and the soicher. The maskir will have to, that's whatever, that's shot. The maskir will have to, when the government will give it back, the maskir may very possibly have to return it to compensate and fill in and add extra 5 days instead of those 5 days that are missing. So now, I thought that I'm renting yacht for 30 days. I'm the maskir. I'm ending up with 35 days. I'm already losing. You're losing because although you get the same amount of days, but it's slower. Your project stopped in the middle unexpectedly, right? And things may get lost on the way, right? So lemaisa, but you can't expect me to give a replacement right this second. That's the idea. However, if the government said goodbye, we'll give it back to you either never. This is a KGB and we're taking this to our right to Siberia. You'll never see it again. Or the Rishonim stress. Even let's say the Angari will give it back in 2 months' time, way after the rental period is over, and his project is going to be already lost. You know, I need it within this month. I have to reach Haifa within 20 days, 30 days, 35. They'll give me the donkey way later, and therefore the entire story will be lost. Then chayev lamid l'chamo. In that case, when the government will not give it back within the foreseeable relevant future for the Baal Chamor, for the renter, then the Balabais has to give him a new one. It's nobody's fault. Nobody's talking about fault. This is equivalent, says Rashi, to a dead animal. If the animal died in the middle, it's also nobody's fault. The animal got a heart attack. Lamaisa, you have to give me some kind of Chamor. Again, let's summarize. If the Chamor was slowed down, that's the point. Either it's slowed down because it's all of a sudden has the issues with his feet, or it has issues with partial blindness. Then the owner says to the renter, listen, customers always right is in America, not in halacha. In other words, mazel, we both have the same mazel. The Eibishter brought this upon us. You have some kind of chamor. We didn't sign that I'm supposed to give you the enechnami. If we would have, it would be different. We never signed, I am hereby, like in the car rental, right? We have to give you the fancy 5-seater or anything equivalent. No, I said any chamor. That's also a chamor. I promised to give you a chamor. It's a chamor. It's slower. Nobody promised you a garden of roses, the best chamor, the Tesla chamor. I'm giving you a regular Toyota chamor, not the Tesla chamor. Yeah, that's what it's now. And the same thing goes with Angaria. They'll give it back to you eventually. You're very upset that your work was stopped in the middle, was paused in the middle, that annoying hiatus, and it's affecting your work. Sorry. The government, I'm also losing. The government are the government. What can we do about them? Next time, elect someone else, yeah? Masha'in can, when it's either death or complete disease or government of, you will never see your donkey again, then we say that really the Balabais has to give him a new one because you owe me a chamor. I have zero chamor or zero functionality, then we don't have the blame game whose mazel it is. Metzia says, I'm sorry, I'm owed some kind of chamor until I get to Haifa. In the middle of the road in Netanya or Ra'anana, the chamor got completely blind, completely off, completely this. Government took it forever. Then please give me a new one. That's what Rav says. Shmuel Omar, however, Shmuel argues with Rav, and Shmuel says, Ben Angaria Choseres, Ben Angaria She'en Choseres, whether the Angaria, meaning whether the government policy is either to give it back or not, or never to give it back, or give it back too late, it doesn't make a difference. What does make a difference? I'm following Tosfos here, and most Rishonim, I'm not following Rashi. Rashi here, there's a pshat, it's very complicated. I'm having Rachmanos in you, and I'm telling you now, according to Tosfos, says Azoy, in bederch halicha nitla, let's say the government official caught the guy, who's the guy? The renter, the one renting it now, in the middle of the street, where he knows a lot of government officials that walk around there. Then they took it from who? From the renter in the middle of the road, knowing full well that government officials, where do they look for? Only in the roads. They don't go to people's houses. If they chap you in the street, they may catch your nice looking shiny chamor. Then the Baal HaBais can tell the renter, your fault. I'm sorry. It's not exactly your fault, but it's your mazel. Had you left it home, it wouldn't have happened. You rode with it in the road, yeah? Immediately the government came. You guys are going to ask me, what, is he supposed to keep him home all day long? No, that's true. But Lamaisa, because you went to whichever street, to Lenin-Stalin Street, they caught you in Lenin-Stalin Street, you were caught in action in a place where the government people are. I'm not telling you not to go there, but don't blame me either. The government took it, and they don't go to houses. I would have kept it at home or in a secret place, wherever. It is slightly already more connected to you than to me, to your mazel more than my mazel, says the Baal to the renter. So I don't have to give you a replacement. If the government go nasty knock on the door of the barn and they take donkeys from the villages, from the barns, from the houses, nothing to do with walking down the street, they go everywhere. Nitla, and then he was taken from the house of the renter. Then the Bailim has to give him a new one instead right now. Why? Because then he can say it's not really, then we all understand it is nothing to do with the Seicher. They go to the Seicher's house as much as the Masker's house. They go everywhere. They search like a KGB. They search everywhere. And therefore, of course, in that case, it's not the renter's fault. And Mimela, the Balabais, is back to giving good customer service as it's supposed to, is mechuyev to provide him with a chamor, and he has to provide him with a chamor. Even if it's temporary, even if it's just a temporary hiatus of 5 days, Lamaisa, because they did go even to my house, had it been by the masker's house they would go, then the masker has to provide them with the new ones. Shmuel demands more of the masker. That's generally Rav against Shmuel, and we're going to develop this machlokes as we go along. Rabbi, yes, question. Basically, now we're going to see a brisa. There would be a problem against a question on Shmuel. Maybe the animal, after being rented out to Mr. Renter, all of a sudden, let's say one shot became partially blind, visually impaired. The tsunua became crazy. Animals also become crazy, not just people. In other words, all of a sudden the donkey became disobedient. Not so obedient, he doesn't walk nicely, he can't ride it properly, he goes, all over the place. Then the owner can tell the renter, I'm not going to provide you a new one right now. No, there's a global price here. Please pay me the global price we decided until we get to Haifa. It'll take you more time. That crazy chamor is not completely crazy, not in a psychiatric ward. It's just being more difficult, blind half. You can manage it. I'm sorry. You deal with it. I never promised you the top 5-star one. Mesa, listen to this now. Mesa, Oshinases Angaria. Ooh. Nases Angaria now belongs to the second group. If it's completely dead or was taken by the government official, the taxes, he has to give him a new one. That's interesting. In the Mishnah, the Angaria was what? Belonged to the group of one that it's not the Balabais' fault. Here, if it's taken by the government, Mr. Owner right away has to provide him, within minutes, he gets the SMS, has to quickly give him another chamor instead. How come there's a stira? Well, there's no stira. Bishlam Rav, according to Rav, loy kasha. There's no difficulty between the Mishnah and the Brisa. In other words, it's a very simple question. In the Mishnah, we see that what taken by the government is not an issue. In the Brisa, we see it is an issue. You have to give him a new one right now. Not a problem at all. Kan ban gari choseres, kan ban gari she'en choseres. Rav has a ready answer. Ready card answer. Of course, I told you, says Rav. You see, the difference is if the Angaria will go back within reasonable time before you finished your project, then although you are being postponed, delayed, there's this hole in the middle of your work continuity, and it's very annoying and slowing you down. I don't have to provide you a new one. Wait. Rashi uses the word wait a few times. Hamten, have patience. Yeah. Olim Chadashim, Savlanut. You have to have Savlanut in this country. Nice. However, Ein Choseres, if you will not come back in the foreseeable future, which makes sense to you, the socher, then I do have to provide you a new one or the money back. The Rav says, very good. You see, the Brayso and the Mishnah, it's not a stira. Depends what kind of government. Is it a government returns it quickly or they don't return it quickly? Ela l'Shmuel kasha, but according to Shmuel, it's difficult. Now the Gemara says, why is it more difficult than Shmuel? Shmuel also differentiated. V'chi tema, why? L'Shmuel nami lo kasha. Shmuel also differentiate between Angaria A and Angaria B. What did Shmuel say? Kan shebederech halichos nitla. If he was taken from the street where the government officials are sniffling and they're around there, then it's his bad mazel, and the owner doesn't have to give him any new animal back right now, and that is the Mishnah. Kan shalom nitla. Here was taken from the house, and houses that go to both maskir and soicher, and then the bailim has to give him a new one because it's not the bad mazel of the soicher. So Shmuel also has some kind of difference between one kind of Angaria to the other. Why are you taking Shmuel? No, says the Gemara. No, here this brisa, we didn't read the entire brisa. This brisa is a big problem for Shmuel. Why? Amrektani Seifa, you didn't read the Seifa of the brisa yet. There is more coming. Says the end of the Seifa, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer. All of a sudden comes a new opinion to the Mishnah. Rabbi Shimon Elazar Omer. What does Rabbi Shimon Elazar say? In bederech halichos nitla, he says exactly what Shmuel said. The what? If it was taken from the street, Omer lareshel chalefonecha, then the Bailim say, you rode there in Rehov Zhabotinsky where all the policemen are. I'm not saying you're Poshea, but I'm not going to provide you with a new one. Sorry. But if not, then he has to give him a new one. If the Enya go and check inside all the barns and houses like Nazis, then it's really the Balabaisa's achrais to give him because it's not his bad luck. In any event, what do we see? Shmuel's words are, yes, mentioned in the Brisa, but by the inverted commas wrong person, because Michlal the Tanakama loy shanile. If Reb Shimon Elazar is the one who says like Shmuel says, Mashma Tanakama does not differentiate that way. And who's Shmuel supposed to follow? Tanakama or Reb Shimon Elazar? Who's the majority? Majority rules. Who? Tanakama. Yochid v'Rabim halacha ke Rabim. So Shmuel is following the miut. He follows the minority. Shmuel says, you're not phasing me with your questions. Lav miika b'Shimon Elazar dekai kavosi. Don't you see b'Shimon Elazar is like me? I know. I damir b'Shimon Elazar. Yochid v'Rabim halacha ke Rabim is not always the rule. There are all kinds of other factors. Says Shmuel, you know what? Live with it. I believe the Das Yochid or Shimon Elazar, who differentiates between what taken from the street rather taken from the house, and that's it. That's the opinion I follow. It's not. We're not going to learn now all the rules, but those rules have exceptions. I believe Shimon Elazar is greater, and in that case, he's right, and that's what I follow. I have a Tana on my side to back me. That's answer number one. Ibai Sema, alternative, another answer. Cooler b'Shimon Elazar. You misread the brisa because you're misinformed. Really, this brisa is not an argument between Tanakama, who doesn't differentiate, and Reb Shimon Elazar, who does differentiate between what? Between street or house. This brisa, like many brises, is missing some information. These are the extra words you have to add in because you got the brisa wrong. Look how the brisa really is supposed to be read. Let's reread the brisa. The behemoth became partially blind, partially crazy. The balabais can tell the renter, no, I'm sorry, I don't have a replacement car for you, replacement donkey. Deal with it. So go to Haifa slower. I don't know. I'm not mechuyev to give you the best of the best. I'm mechuyev to give you some kind of functional donkey. It's a partially functional donkey, and it's not my fault for sure. Mesa Oshenases Angaria, he died or was taken by our great Caesar or great Tsar or whoever, the owner, if it's completely dead, the owner has to give the renter obviously a new one. And so it goes regarding the Angaria, he has to give him a new one. Oh, the Resha has that difference within one Angaria and the other is really already in the Resha. There is no opinion who says that there's no difference between different Angarias. But Medvo Memurim, you know when it's true that if the Angaria took it, then he has to give him a new one. Sheloi bederech alichoso nitla. He wasn't taking while he was riding in the street. It was taken from the house. From the house, Masker and Socher are the same. They both live in houses, could be in the same village. Abba nitla bederech alichoso. It was taken for while he was walking somewhere else in the street. You took it, you flashed it out in the street. Then he says the buying to the renter, it's not my fault. We're basically repeating what we said, but we're now uniting the two parts of the brisa. It's not like one part of the brisa says not like Shmuel, and the second part is like Reb Shimon Lozo Shmuel. Diva Reb Shimon Lozo. That Resha is Reb Shimon Lozo. There's one continuous homogeneous continuity here. There's only one opinion mentioned in the brisa, and that's Reb Shimon Lozo. Reb Shimon Lozo is the one who believes to differentiate between taken from the street, taken from the house, exactly like Shmuel. Continues the Mishnah, because Reb Shimon Lozo was known to be saying, very good. In other words, Reb Shimon Lozo is known to be the master of, the initiator, the mind behind the idea of differentiating between different types of Angaria. And therefore, very nice, this brisa is just one opinion. It's Reb Shimon ben Lozo, and Reb Shimon Lozo is exactly what was followed by Shmuel. By the way, Shmuel didn't prove himself right, as I told you many times. Shmuel managed to get off the hook and read the brisa to be like him. Rav is still smiling in the corner very happily. Rav would read the brisa kipshutoi, without doing all this chesur mechsa. How would Rav read the brisa? Let's just think again. Let's steer in. Rav says no. The Pashup Pshat of the Brisa is that before Shimon Lozer opened his mouth, Tanakama believes what? That there's a difference between not taken from the street, taken from the house, because I don't believe in that, says Rav. What's the difference according to Tanakama? Very good. The difference is, will the government give it back or will the government not give it back? That's Rav. So far, Rav and Shmuel both survive. You're right, Baruch, that we have the general rule of halacha ke Rav Vedini, halacha ke Shmuel b'monos. When it comes to money, Shmuel was a dayan, and Shmuel, they said, was a bigger Baal Svara, and Momnis is more about Svara, more about, Rav was more of a Boki, and Shmuel was more of a Me'ayin, Lamdan. So Shmuel could dig deeper into the Svaras. And Din Momnis, all the Bavakam of Metzia, is more about the kvetching with the mind. That's what we learn in yeshivas. Well, Rav was more into Yisr Veheter. A piece of chicken, mutar osir, is less lomdis. It's more like dry information. A bit of a general knowledge here. Question time. Yep. Question was asked here by two very choshev people. I'm rephrasing the question a little bit. We keep talking all the time about the renter claiming against the customer service of the rented donkey. You guys are asking, hey, what about the other side? Can't the donkey owners tell the donkey rider, driver, renter, you foolishly drove it in front of the policeman? It doesn't sound like it's a pshia. No. In other words, if Idafka goes, I don't know, but it doesn't sound like it's a pshia over here. It's still considered as oinus. In other words, the fact that he rode in the street in a normal way, normal day, normal everything, and the police chapped him, doesn't mean he's not a poshea. No. The donkey rider, the soich, is not a poshea that he has to give a new donkey to the owner. I don't think. It doesn't sound like that. So what do you mean it's his fault? It's his fault to the level that because the police only are in the street and not in the house, the fact you took it to the street is not your fault, but it is enough to say it's your bad mazel and not my bad mazel, so I don't have to provide you a new one. Get it? It's not a pshia. We can't claim, I can't logically tell the person, why did you take it to the street, you pasha? What? You think I'll stay with the donkey home all day long? You think we're back to Corona? My donkey's gonna, even dogs have to be walked every day, right? On the other hand, I'm the lawyer of the renter. You can't, no. Now I'm the lawyer of the car service, of the donkey service. You, the renter, can't claim from us a new car, or a new donkey, because Lamaisi was your bed mazel. They only walk in that street, not in another place, not inside the house. You happened to be, you went into the danger. You went into danger place Maybe it's not your fault. You didn't know. You're good. You didn't know the policeman ambushed you. Beseder, but lemaisa, it is more your bad mazel than my bad mazel. Enough to the point, you can't claim from me a new donkey. Oh, remember that's also a repeating motto over here. If it's nobody's fault, then I don't have to provide you a new one. Yeah, especially no, not always true. Not always true. Not always true. Actually, no. No. I'm in this case, I'm to give you a donkey, but it's your bad mazel more than my bad mazel. You actively went to the street. Those people don't come to you. You come to them. It wasn't your fault you came to them. Yeah, but it's more connected to you than to me. To the point that I'm not claiming anything from you. I'm representing the owner. You don't come and claim for me a new one. It's a bad mazel. It's not onus of Shia, it's your bad luck. That's a gdoro of the Rishonim here. Thank you very much. Right. Let's continue. Bezos Hashem. Frag the Gemara, it's not so simple. No. Umi matis mukmas like B'Shem ben Elazar. Up until now, Shmuel was in this ideal situation. He follows B'Shem ben Elazar, who is the only master of the Brisa. All very good. B'Shem ben Elazar, he's the one who differentiated between Angaria from the street, Angaria from the house. All good. Is that so? No. There's a problem here. V'aktani reisha. It says, as we saw in the reisha of this very Brisa, if the person rented a donkey and he became, let's say, blind or a disease in the feet or got crazy, right? I'm sorry, says the owner. This can happen to anybody. It's anyone's mazel. It just happened that you got blind. Not your fault. I'm not saying you did anything wrong. It didn't happen to me either. So, and it's still somehow functional. Live with it. That's nice. However, dealer of Shimon Elazar outright said, to ride on it, and he got blind or shenishtatet crazy. Oops. How can you tell me the entire Brisa is from Elazar? The reisha of our Brisa says the blind or crazy, I don't have to provide you a new one. And Rav Shimon Elazar outright said that if you rented it to ride on it, then the owner, the rented donkey, has to provide him a new one. So you can't say the reisha of Shimon Elazar, but Shimon Elazar outright said that riding a donkey got blind or crazy. Yeah, the customer is supposed to get a new one. So how can you connect this Brisa to Shimon Elazar? The hint. There's a word here that I kept mentioning, lirkov. And that's the answer. Usually when people take donkey is not a riding animal. You want to ride something and have real fun? Take it from me, ride a horse. Horses are a lot of fun to ride if you know how to ride them, yeah? You ride a horse. Riding a donkey is less pleasant. Donkeys are normally taken for what? As an animal of burden. That's the answer. Read the words well. Abba Shimon Elazar is absolutely the master of a brisa. He spoke about a normal. When we speak about a normal donkey, what's normal? You walk next to the donkey, you lead the donkey has your entire household on his back. That is when it's still blind, or it's crazy, or it's something, you can still manage. You walk it. You're going to walk it and walk it out carefully, slowly, and it's annoying. Deal with it. Be a big boy. Shimon Elazar, when he said that I'm supposed to provide you a new one, that's when you wrote it and you specified in the contract of the rented donkey, you specified, in the online form, what? In order to ride. I want a good riding animal. I will ride on it, on the donkey like this. There it's very bad and impossible to ride a blind donkey or a crazy one. Says Rashi, may go under a bridge, look in a tunnel, it's going to fall. It's blind, or maybe it's going to throw you away. Rashi said, a crazy donkey to ride is impossible. And therefore, that's halacha. Look up Shulchan Aruch, and that's what it says. Halacha is like Shmuel, and halacha also says that if the animal was rented in order to ride on, then even if it's partially blind or it is crazy, then it became crazy in the middle of the day 15, let's say, then he may call the agency, the rent-a-car, and right away they're supposed to give him a new one, because to ride on it when it's blind or this is impossible. It's very hard. Amar Papa adds one more point. The Klei Zchuchis, if he rented a donkey and specified, I'm interested in taking glass vessels, glass crystal, something that is obviously very fragile, can break easily. I can't take a risk. because if the animal is partially blind or crazy, does the wrong movement, then if I'm schlepping blankets, I'm schlepping things that are not so breakable, then nish gefährlich. It may fall a little bit, you tighten it. But clay zchuchis are very, very fragile. They need a very steady animal. Got crazy in the middle, got half blind in the middle. I'm sorry. I deserve to get a new one, and that's aloch. All this in Shulchan Aruch. You were right, Rabbi. Aloch is like Shmuel, with exceptions of riding or clay zchuchis, and in that case, enochinami, the animal, you should get a new animal. And that point, by the way, Rav can also agree to. Rav and Shmuel didn't argue about blind or crazy. They only argue about government taking. So everything is good. And anyhow, it's a consensus. Yeah. We're just everything. Oh, comes now a whole new story. And here we're going to see, again, mutual blaming. And let's see the case. Omar Rabba Baravuna, Omar Rav. It's another Mechlokas Rav and Shmuel. Today's the day of Rav and Shmuel. It's separate Mechlokas. Separate Mechlokas also to do with the rented donkey. Yeah. Omar Rabba Baravuna, Baruch Hashem, Matan Torah soon. Omar Rav. Aserches achamor lirkov aleh. Yeah. Somebody rented a donkey in order to ride on. And let's say specified, I'm interested in getting all the way from here, from Bet Shemesh to Haifa. How long does it take by donkey? A few days. And that's what I'm hiring it for. The Metzia lebechatzia derech. How nice. In the middle of the road, yeah, the donkey dies. You open the bonnet, you open the thing, the smoke coming out of the engine. Yeah, the tires are flat. Donkey's not working in the middle of the road. Ever happened to you? No. Anyway, so now in the middle of the road, in the middle of some, I don't know, field near Netanya, near Ranana, midway to Haifa, all of a sudden the thing absolutely, the chamor collapses and dies. And otherwise it was well taken care of. And it just shows you, he's angry on two things. He has two claims, the one riding the donkey. First of all, why did you give me such a schmattery animal that dies halfway through? Didn't you know I'm supposed to get with it all the way to Haifa? Secondly, he's typing the SMS very angrily. Give me the one right now. I got to get to Haifa, right? Yeah. I have two claims here. There are two issues. Why did you give me such a fashmata animal? Yeah, that dies in the middle of the road. There are not even gas stations in the area. Yeah. And secondly, I need a new one right now to replace. Yeah. Or else I'm taking you to court. Yeah. Oh. So listen to this. First of all, no, surprisingly, the renter is going to give the owner the schar of halfway. If we decided that all the way to Haifa is 1,000 shekels, you got halfway, you still owe me the 500. Yeah, we're going to discuss why. Lamaisi, I got you halfway there. You claim that the animal was a bad animal, was too weak, and that's why I died. That's an interesting claim. We'll discuss it. But Lamaisi, you got halfway. Pay me halfway. It's legitimate to have some anger. Anger is also something that needs legitimacy. It's not always good to be angry, halachically. You may be upset and angry with him, but not more than that. You can't take him to court, and he cannot even claim a new donkey. Wow, and that's a big chiddush. Didn't we say a second ago that if the animal dies, then you're supposed to give him a donkey? Rav is strangely, and the Gemara is going to discuss it at length, Rav is being extremely into rent a cow is always right. In other words, it's okay to give him the fashmata animal, and plus, what? And he's not even supposed to give him a new animal? Oh, let's see nice and slow how Rav is going to build his case. Echidami. The Gemara is asking, what's the story here? Oh, let's say that every gas stations today, or petrol stations, yeah, let's say there's a rent a donkey stations along the road. Let's say it's no, I don't know. I never rented a donkey. No, I did rent a donkey once to take my kids to a 1 minute ride. Yeah, but let's say rented donkey are very common. They're everywhere. If you, the renter, know the donkey died, but very easily you can get another donkey instead, then even Toromis Ma'avidete, you don't even have the right to be angry. In other words, we imagine, a car, you want to ride fast. Why? If it's very common to replace it, replacement is very easy. I took you halfway, right? And you know very well that if it's going to die, you're going to get a new one. Are you really upset when your plastic cup is broken? Broken. You took a plastic cup from the kitchen, from the store even, and one plastic cup, it's very annoying. You start pouring and it starts dripping from the slot, from the slit there. You're not very angry. You get a new one. It's a plastic. I'm not being very ecological now. If the donkeys are, easy come, easy go, why are you angry? However, if really it's not common to rent them, you don't have rented donkeys all over, and he's really stuck in the middle of the road, sweating and angry, then agrabailametovle. Then real agrabailametovle, excuse me, is he supposed to even give him the schar for getting him to middle of the road? In other words, you didn't get me to my way. You knew I'm supposed to get to Haifa, right? And you got me all the way to Netanya. I'm not just angry. I actually demand not to pay you. I'm not going to pay you for halfway. Ellen, that's what you explained before. In other words, you did half a job. You did half a job of what? Like painting my wall, half a wall, not the whole wall, and then you left me behind. Why should I give you anything? Answers the Gemara, like we said before, no, he has the right to be angry because he's stuck and it's hot and it's annoying and there are mosquitoes all over, whatever. And it's not commonly found to have just rent a donkey everywhere. He is stuck in the middle of the road. So why does he have to pay for the first half of the journey which he made? Because the owner can tell the renter, let's say you wanted to get to Netanya. Didn't you have to actually give me money up until now? Lamaisi, I got you halfway. Did you ever take Yeshiva Bochum on a ride? I did. Not on a ride. They gave them a tramp ride. They say I have to get to Bnei Brak. Oh, get me to Shloshim V'Shmona, halfway. Get me to the junction. Yeah, you took me halfway. It's annoying. It's a tarumes. It's legitimate to feel angry about it. Talk to your psychologist about it. But Lamaisa, the fact that I got you halfway. I got you an animal. Up until now, you had a nice ride. It wasn't blind. It wasn't crazy. No police came, no this. You had a pleasant ride up to Netanya. Pay me up to Netanya. Pay me halfway. Legitimate. What about providing a new animal? Okay, you know what? I'll pay you halfway. But give me a new one. Okay, I'll pay you the 500 of 1,000. I'm stuck now, Rabbi. Rabbi, rent a donkey. Why don't we say that Mr. Rent a donkey have to provide a new one? And the Mishnah says you do, right? The Mishnah says it's complete death, complete total loss. Then what? You have to give him a new one. And here, Rav, what's the story? Echidami. The Gemara is now asking again, what exactly is the story regarding providing a new animal? Here we come to a whole new subtopic. What exactly was the agreement? What were the words of the agreement between Chamor owner and Chamor renter? Stam. Let's say he told him, the owner of the rent a chamor.co.il told Mr. Customer, I'm supposed to give you a donkey. Not this donkey, a donkey. Chamor, any chamor. He's supposed to give him another one. I'm supposed to provide you with a donkey. I would say in English, any donkey from here till Haifa. If you got stuck in the middle of the road and it's what? Dead, all of a sudden died on you, then yes, you're supposed to provide him with a new chamor. Why does Rav say no? I'm supposed to give you a donkey, like the car rentals. What do they say? That I know, right? A 5-seater, a Toyota, or any similar car of that level, right? A Mazda, Subaru, right? That's how it goes. So that's what it says over here. The car died in the middle from the rent-a-car. You call Avis, call Hertz, and tell them, I'm stuck with your dead car. Give me a new one. And he's supposed to get a new one. Why does Rav say not like that? Let's say he told him, I am providing you this chamor. This and only this. I'm not supposed to give you, it's not on my shoulders to give you any kind of chamor of any level. I don't know. I told you I'm renting you this and this only chamor. Then if he died, then I'm not supposed to give you a new one? That is not so simple. Although it's much more limited obligation because it's only on this chamor, still, im yesh b'demei likach, yikach. Lichoyer, and that's Rashi in the Mishnah, which I didn't tell you. Let's say the chamor was worth, I don't know, 1,000, yeah? Now, a chamor, dead chamor, some people would buy. Some people would buy dead chamor. Some people like the skin. Some people like the Purim costume. Some people like to eat its meat. Disgusting. Yeah. Let's say a dead chamor is not 1,000, it's 500. Since this chamor is meshubed to the renter, even after its death, it's still meshubed. So you, the Bailim, quickly get to Netanya, sell it to the local population there in the villages, you know who I mean, yeah? And with those 500, quickly rent him another chamor. That's halacha. Why not? How can you shirk off responsibility? Again, let's summarize. If you said I'm supposed to provide you a donkey of a certain level, he died, give me a new one. Hey, and even if you were mitzamtzem and smart, and you said, I only said this chamor, now it's dead, no chiyuv anymore. No, the chamor has past life, has life after life, and that is what? It's still worth something as a dead carcass, a dead body, and what? Enochnami still sell the dead body and provide him with a cheaper chamor from now till Haifa to rent it out. Buy yourself a new chamor, Mr. Owner, and rent it out for the rest of the way, for the second leg of the journey. How come you shirk off responsibility? Answers the Gemara, Lo itzricha. Rav spoke about a case, which means, let's summarize. The answer of the Gemara is, Ein dameh likach means there isn't enough money in the dead body to buy another functional chamor. It was a very shmatri chamor to begin with. It wasn't 1,000. It was 500. It was alive. When it's dead, well, it's like a third-hand car. When it's dead, total show, and you can buy a bicycle with that. Yeah, you can't buy with a dead body anything. Which means we made a very big ukimta here. And let's summarize now. Let's summarize and learn the halacha now before we come to the big question. When Rav said that the Baal Abayis can just say, I'm sorry, nothing I can do about it, it's not because being Israeli. The Baal Abayis, it's in a very specific case. If, let's see the whole thing together. If the agreement was, I'm supposed to give you what? An animal, any animal, of course the Baal Abayis has to give him a new one, no question. And that's what the Mishnah said. Rav doesn't argue in the Mishnah. Ad kana kofa aleph. If the agreement was, I'm supposed to give you this chamor, and let's say the chamor was a real Tesla, the chamor was a Porsche, the chamor was very fancy. Even after the death of the chamor, the dead chamor can be sold for its parts. Yeah, and what? And you can still buy functional chamor. You're mechuyev. Rav spoke in the lowest case. Case what? The animal was only this animal supposed to give you. The animal's dead body is worth kapures, is worth nothing or worth something, but not enough to buy a new chamor. I can't buy a new chamor with a dead one. Not any chamor, not even the cheapest one, not even an old one. In that case, Rav said that the owner can tell the Baal Abayis, I'm so sorry, I'll offer you a cup of coffee, nothing else. That Rav was dafka specifically in that ukimta. One would even ask a question, what's the chiddush in the words of Rav? And now, because Istam made a very interesting ukimta. Why is Rav in a moira? Usually I just want to clarify something and teach you something about learning techniques. Usually ukimtas are made by Tanoim, not a Meroim. The Tana says something, it doesn't make sense, it's a stira to the moira, Tanana, we make an ukimta. Yeah, we qualified. Here, why does Rav make such a statement, which is an ukimta? Rav Kilo told us a very interesting story. Why is Rav telling us dafka that? Yeah. So what is really the chiddush? What's Rav's chiddush? That's a question I'll leave on the side. Now the Gemara is asking another question, which will lead us now to another machlokes Rav Shmuel. So what did we say? Let's just repeat one line, and from that we'll continue. The chamor after its death is worth, let's say, only 300 zuz. Yeah, 300 zuz. Are you joking? You can't buy any other chamor for 300, right? So I'm sorry. My chiyuv was from this chamor. When it was alive, it was good. After its death, it's below any price of any chamor. I'm sorry. Then my obligation to you is, as a customer service, as the owner, is limited. Yeah. Question is now, what can't you do with the 300 zuz? You can't buy a new chamor and provide it to him now for the rest of the way, all the way to Haifa. Now the Gemara is asking a question. Wait a second. Im yesh bedameh liskoir yiskoir? Question mark. That now we're embarking on a whole new sugya. The question is like this. Wait a second. I'm now the lawyer of Mr. Renter, and I say, you're claiming that with a bad animal, which is bad and dead, which is only 300, you can't buy a new chamor? Accept it. You know what? Rent him. You, Mr. Avis, rent a chamor. Go to Hertz, rent a chamor, and rent from them a chamor for the halfway from Netanya till Haifa. And provide it to your customer. Give a good customer service. Why not? Why don't you do that? Huh? That's the question. Answers the Gemara. Rav Shmuel argue. Rav letaime. Rav here follows his own reasoning against Shmuel. The Omar Rav says, Loi mechalinan karna. We don't force the owner, as obligated as he may be, we don't force him to, as you'd say in English, throw money down the drain, throw money down the pit, which means we don't ask him to destroy, to do away with the capital money, which means if I'm obligated to you, what was my obligation to you? I'm the renter chamor avis. My obligation was to you was what? I have a chamor, which will be mine till 120, either 120 mine or the chamor's, yeah, will be mine forever, right? For the foreseeable future. I'm supposed to rent it out to you for a month, and then it comes back to me. The keren, the capital, the basic amount, the chamor stays mine, and I rent it out to you. You're asking me now to spend maybe less money, but you're asking me to spend on something that I will never see back. You're asking me to now rent someone else's chamor for, I don't know, the 2 days it takes from Netanya to Haifa, and then what will happen with the chamor? I'll give it back to the other rented chamor. That much I'm not mechuyev. I'm throwing money down the drain, and I'm not seeing back the chamor. In other words, it's less money, but it's more of a waste for me. Again, let's repeat. The only chiyuv according to Rav is, in case I'm obligated to give you this chamor, the chamor died, the chamor is alive, yeah, I'm mechuyev to give you this chamor, meaning I will maybe even have to buy a new chamor with the dead body's money, and that new chamor will be mine forever. I'm renting out for a week or till Haifa. But for me, just to rent out money, I'm not gaining anything. To just spend money, throw money, which is mechalia karna, the capital I'll never see back. I'm not owning that car, won't stay mine forever. That level of obligation, the rented donkey person doesn't have, and that's Rav's chidush. And now let's dig in a little bit more, and then I can hear your questions soon. The itma, it says in the Meimra, Machlokes Rav Shmuel, Machlokes number 2. A sercher is a chamor, mamashur case. A person rented a chamor, hired a chamor, umeisel b'chatzia derech. He died midway between X and Y, yeah. And then what happened? Omarav im yesh b'demei yikach yikach. If the dead animal has enough money in it, so to speak, to buy a new chamor, and both sides are winning. I, the rental car owner, rental donkey owner, I have a new donkey, and I rent it out to you for the rest of the way. That much I'm mechuyev to do. Liskar al yiskoil. But if the amount of money in the dead chamor is only enough to do what? To rent a new one, I'm not mechuyev to rent you a new one. I'm not mechuyev to like buy you even a bus ticket. It's not part of our agreement. You're asking me to throw money in a way that I will never see back. It's not a capital that's returning to me. That level of chiyuv I don't have. That's where my level of chiyuv to you stops, according to Rav. Shmuel Amar, af liskor yiskor. Shmuel says, no. Shmuel says customer service above everything. I'm joking, eh? Shmuel says even to liskor, to rent a temporary donkey by the car rental and give it to him temporarily, although he's not owning anything new now, the car rental, the donkey rental, you still are obligated to provide him with a donkey, regardless to whether you own it or you don't own it. What's the machlokes Rav Shmuel? Very simple. Like we said, Rav Sova, Rav believes loy mechalin and kana. Rav says the chiyuv of the rental, of the donkey rental company stops by mechalin and kana. We don't ask the donkey owner to provide him with a new donkey, which is just a loss for the donkey owner. I'm not buying a new donkey, which will always be mine. Yeah, I'm giving you a donkey now for a few days and I'm paying for it. No, a lot of customer service would do it, not Rav. Shmuel says, no, your chiyuv as a rented donkey goes to the point of what? Even above and beyond, you're supposed to do even more and do what? Not only provide him a new donkey from your group, from your herd of donkeys, you're supposed to, even from the dead animal, you're supposed, let's say, said Zeus, says not, excuse me, no. Let's say you're not mechuyev a new donkey from your own group, because why? Because it said this donkey. But let's say this donkey was worth 500. Now it's worth only, let's say, 200. With the 200, you can't buy a new chamor. You can rent a new chamor. You're mechuyev to rent a new chamor. Why? Yes, we ask you to provide him with a service, although you are only losing because you're only renting and not buying something that will always stay yours. You're still mechuyev to do that. And Allah is like Shmuel. Now we're going to start the segment with Rav Shmuel. Question. Yeah. Okay. We stop here, middle of the way. Tomorrow, Erev Shavuos, we have another shorter shiur, 9:25 till 10ish, and then Mirz Hashem, we'll see you again on Sunday. I mean, I'll see you maybe more often before that. But don't go to Haifa. Don't go to Haifa. Just stay here. Stay with our last Shavuos and Shavuos day. And that's But thank you everyone here in Abbas Shalom. The YouTube channel, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you get automatic notifications. And also everyone on Torah Anytime. Thank you so much. Have a great Erev Shavuos. Kol Tuv.